Hello, welcome back. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in your day. Thank you so much for joining me on Wealth Reimagined with the Family Bloodline Network. I'm your host, Maya Kay. I'm so glad you're back with me. Oh, great weekend. I hope you've had a great weekend. I hope your Monday is starting off wonderful. I hope you are staying cool or dry, safe. We've had some tornadoes go through my area. All is well. Hope you have power. Hope everything's going well. Hope everything is going well. So I've been thinking a lot about what should I talk about today. I've had so many ideas, but I thought it may be appropriate to have a bit more of a practical episode. I am notorious and feel that it is very, very, very important to have a certain mindset when it comes to being successful with your money management. And so I default to that a lot. And because I feel that you can get the other stuff anywhere, you can get that anywhere. You can get it on a website. You can Google it. There are apps. There are pre-made templates. So many things and tools out there to use to create a budget. However, I'm gracious that you tune in with me. And so I felt that it was only appropriate for us to have a bit more of a practical episode where we're talking about the one thing that I am constantly telling you is non-negotiable, and that is a budget. A budget. So while I can't help but have some type of mindset, I wouldn't be me if I didn't give you some type of mindset element. And so as we are getting into this and talking about your budget, also known as a spending plan, right? I want you to think about this in maybe a different way. Maybe you don't have a negative attitude or feeling when you hear budget. Maybe you already are accepting. Maybe it already does not feel restrictive and all of that. So I wrote down, I want you to think about it like this. I know exactly what I have, where it's going, and what I'm able to do. That's the purpose, the peace of mind that a budget will give you. You're assigning every dollar that you have coming in, your income, which, by the way, your income that you're earning is the easiest wealth building tool that you have in your tool belt. It's all about what you do with it, how you manage it, how you spend it, how you save it, how you invest it, what you invest in. All of those things, that income that you get is the tool that most of you have at your disposal to build wealth. So that's why for me, it's important to ingrain in you the mindset component. You get your paycheck. You have to have a plan for that paycheck. Versus, oh, I got money, let me just go spend it. Let me go ball out, right? There's a time and a place for that. I'm not saying that being responsible with your money, being a good steward with your money should remove all the fun and just ability to do whatever it is that you may want to do and ball out, right? But can you ball out? Do you have money to ball out? Or are you broke? You might be broke. I've been broke. I don't like the feeling of being broke. And so I do whatever I can to make sure I'm not broke. I don't like the stress that being broke brings. I don't like the panic being broke brings. I didn't say I was rich. I said I'm not broke. I don't like those feelings. I don't like the stress. I don't like the drama. I don't like the worry. I don't like the anxiety. I don't like any of those feelings or emotions that being broke brings when I am fortunate enough to have an income. I'm fortunate enough to be bringing in money. And now it's up to me to do the very best that I can with it to build wealth. And that's what I want you to take away as well as you continue to be a part of this community and journey with me. We are on this journey together because it's not something that you necessarily master. As I say, I don't believe in cookie cutter advice. So it's important to me that you understand the mindset, you know, the basics, so that you can apply it specifically to your situation. Okay. So budgeting, that good old spending plan. There's many elements to it. And the first one is the income. Again, your biggest wealth building tool, your income. I think it is wise to do your budget more than one time for the month. So here's why. I think that we all have a general idea about how much we're going to get per month. So it is June 15th. I think it would be wise to already map out July before July gets here. We know July has a holiday in it. Depending on your family traditions, there might be a gathering. There might be extra groceries. There may be travel. There may be things that are going to happen in July that don't happen in June. And so it's good to go ahead and start thinking about that. Start thinking about those things. What's crazy is that it is almost going to be July. It's going to be here before we know it, right? And then next thing we know, school's going to be back if you have children. School's going to be back in session in August, right? So it's good to get ahead of these things before they hit you in the face. So, all right. When you do your monthly spending plan, this is your predicted. This is your budgeted numbers planned, what you predict. I'm probably going to bring in $4,000 for the month. This much goes to rent or mortgage. This much goes to my car note if you have one. This much goes to insurance. This much, and you write it all out, right? So first, I want to say that because I think you should do like a plan. It's estimates at this point, right? Because based off of whatever, we're going to stick with 4,000. Based off of this $4,000, that's $1,000 a week. Based off of that, you can kind of predict early if you have enough. And with everything that you have going on in July, of course, that includes all of your expenses and bills and debt and all that, plus those other maybe events that are in there, and see where you are. Then I also think you should budget however many times you are paid per month. So then now we're getting into the actual. So you've done this monthly overview to see, all right, I should be good. Or I might have to cut back. Gas costs this much now. I can get there, but I said I was going to do this. I don't know if I should offer to do that based off of how much money I really have, right? So when you get paid, however frequent that is, If it's bi-weekly, you should be doing a budget bi-weekly. Then that's your actual numbers, because now you know exactly how much your net income check is versus what the actual bills are, right? So if you're paid monthly, same thing. When you get that monthly income, you budget it. If you get paid weekly, you're doing a budget weekly. You're budgeting your paycheck. Every time you get a check, every time a paid invoice comes in, budget it. Give it, assign it a task. Assign those dollars a task. Okay. So income, that's element number one. Be sure you write down and you know about what your income is. Then the second element, I believe, is twofold, which will be your expenses. But I'm sure you have expenses that are fixed, and then you probably have expenses that vary. Same expense, just different amount. So those fixed expenses would be just, those fixed payments. Mortgage probably annually changes because of taxes and insurance. Your escrow will fluctuate and could change your mortgage payment. Your principal interest stays the same, but your taxes and insurance fluctuate. So for a good 12-month run, your mortgage should be the same. Your rent is the same until, again, whenever your lease is up and you renew, right? Car note, probably a fixed rate. Insurance premiums, payments, probably a fixed rate. Like your Wi-Fi, your cell phone bill, whatever those fixed expenses are, you will have those. But then those ones that vary, like your utilities, your gas, your water, your electric, those are expenses that vary. So I like to separate them out. I like to, because my fixed ones give me generally a certain number depending on where we are in the month. And then there's always those variables. I like to handle those expenses first. I like to try to list things in order of priority. So, income, element 1, expenses, element 2, 2A, fixed expenses, 2B, variable expenses. Okay, so the third element would be debt payments. So debt payments, I'm thinking about consumer debts, maybe like revolving credit card debt, personal loans, fixed rate personal loans. If you have like a home equity loan, which is likely an interest only payment, depending on how your equity loan, like a equity line of credit is structured, or you may have a equity loan that is a fixed rate installment that you're repaying. Car loan could go in under debt technically. I mentioned it under a fixed expense. When I do my budget, I put it as a fixed expense because it's a debt that, yes, I want to get paid off, but I want like other debts paid off before that. So like any credit cards, I make sure under a debt payment, student loans, yeah. So things like that. You list your debt payment. If it motivates you, list the balance. If it doesn't, don't. But if it motivates you to see that balance declining, then list it. Maybe you want to see where you are. If it's an outrageous balance that just makes you wonder what were you thinking when you took that out, then don't do that. We don't want anything to disrupt your motivation and your mindset there. So a fourth element of a budget would be, do you remember me talking about sinking funds? I'm going to say sinking funds have been life-changing for me. Sinking funds, remember, are funds that you are putting money aside to spend. They're sinking fund because it's gonna get spent, right? And for me personally, this was something that I did as a cash flow, a cash stuffing type approach. And I did it pretty deep when I first started it. Like, everything was getting cash stuffed. And it really did help me. And if it's something that you want to learn more about, I'm happy. I would actually love to share more about it if you think it would benefit you. But you can also do electronic envelopes. Depending on your bank, you may be able to open up, if it's like a credit union, you could do multiple share accounts. There's a bank, I'm not going to say their name, but they have it where I can set up buckets. So it's one account. I can see the balance in the entire account, but I can create categories for what they call it, buckets, and divide it up. So, there's different ways to do it, but the sinking funds purpose is for that. Like I said, with everything going on, and I had it, my daughter recently graduated high school, and I had all of these things that I knew and I was planning for, or when I was planning for an international trip, and I stuffed in that envelope with cash because I knew I got to buy tickets. I want to have spending money. I got to, and all those things. And so that was how I used it. Now, I don't really use it that much. I don't have a lot of sinking funds at the moment. I feel like that will change, though. That will be shifting here very soon as I take on a new endeavor. But right now, the only thing that I have for a sinking fund is my pest control payment. Because my pest control payment, it's a fixed expense, but it only comes up every 2 months. Sometimes those things come up every quarter. I'm surprised I don't have my trash as a sinking fund also, but I don't. I think because it happens to fall when I get extra money and I always can just pay it. But the pest control every 2 months, I don't like it disrupting my peace. And I have this like over $100 bill that feels unexpected. It's just that I didn't plan for it. Okay. So I know it's a every other month expense. And so I simply divide the total of that expense by how many paychecks I get before it's due. So it's generally 4 paychecks. So I take that amount and divide it by 4. And then every time I get my paycheck, I put that quarter of it into that sinking fund. So then when they come out and treat my home, I'm like, because I get texts. I know they're like, oh, we'll be out tomorrow, or we'll be out the end of the week or whatever. So I get a text. It's not like they ever just show up. And I don't mind going to deposit the money, or if you want to keep it all electronic, you would just transfer that money over when they come out so that they can charge you, right? So I don't mind that. That's not an inconvenience to me, like them coming and I don't have any money set aside for it. I don't have that extra. Oh, like I said, it's over $100 bill. I don't got it because I got all these other things that I've planned for. So it's just a matter of planning. But that's a sinking fund, something that you know you're going to spend. It could be vacation. It could be school pictures. It could be grocery, depending on the size of your family. If you have a big grocery bill, I'm trying to think what other sinking funds I had. I had sinking funds with my kids' names on them, just because. Just because they always need something. I can remember funds I used to have. I used to have my beauty sinking fund. So anytime I would just stuff it for either like when I wanted to get beauty products are expensive, hair products and things like that. So I'm like, let me just put a little bit in here every time I get paid. So when I need something, I can go get it versus me sitting there scratching my head because I need to spend $50 on some styling products, right? So I would just put a little bit in there, put a little bit in there. I don't care if it's $1. I don't care if it's $5, $3, $20, whatever you can put in there, right? And sometimes it's based off priority. You know, I used to have a household sinking fund. The household sinking fund was just where I had money set aside for if I needed something for the house, like inside. Maybe I needed new pillow cover, I need to buy a blanket, light bulbs, or whatever. It was just for if I needed to go get something to take care of a matter inside the house. I remember having a sinking fund when I had to buy my lawnmower. Um, I used to have someone come cut my grass, and I said, while I appreciate this service, this is actually something I can do myself. I can handle cutting the grass. It's other parts of outdoor care that I'm not a fan of. And so the off season, when he was not servicing, I just kept putting that charge into the sinking fund. And I was like, by the time spring rolls around, I should be able to buy a lawnmower because I wanted a battery operated one. And so I'm like, I should be able to just get a lawnmower. Then I don't have to pay him this money every month or I think it was every 2 weeks I had him coming out because I didn't want to pay the weekly. And so anyway, hopefully that gives you a little example of what sinking funds are. So that's another element. And again, it helps you divide a larger expense into smaller pieces so that not so much of it is coming out of that paycheck at once, but you're still planning for that line item or that expense. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth element. The fifth element would be saving / investing. Okay. So the only reason that I'm listing saving last is because you may not have anything left to save. If you're just starting out and this is the beginning of you really setting an intention around your money and your money management and changing your mindset around wealth, you may not have anything to save. And so we want to fix that, right? We want to fix that. Maybe you have too much debt. Maybe you have too many expenses. What can you cut in those other categories? Or do you need to make more money? Do you need to ask for a raise? Do you need to look for a different job? Do you need to take on a second job? Do you need to get a little side hustle? Again, I can't give one size fits all because everybody's budget, household, life needs are different. But it comes down now where you got to analyze what you see. Okay. So I'm not saying that you should be okay with not having any money left to save. I'm saying that you need to figure out how to get something where you can. Okay. I think I've shared before, during when it's not summer, when school's not, when school is in session, a lot of the streaming services, I cancel them. No one's using them. No one's watching them. No one's here Everyone's busy with their schedules. Everyone's resting. No one's watching TV. Not all of them. So I cancel those, and that cuts some outgoing money. Those little 10, 15, 6, when you have multiple of those, they add up every month. They seem small when you think about them individually, but add them all up. Streaming services, subscriptions. Do you have some subscription to your favorite product that they automatically ship out to you every month? Maybe you need to turn that off. And do you need it? I'm not saying do it, but is it something you can go without? I think I mentioned the other different episode. Do you need to do your own pedicures this summer? Just, again, it would be temporarily, right? Or maybe alternate, go get it professionally done. When it's time to do the next one, do it yourself. I get it. If you're getting, it's not just plain polish, and so they got to soak it off and all that. Okay. Well, maybe don't get that. Do you need to get it done? I don't know. But just think of ways where you can cut so that you can have money to save. Okay. And I know you're thinking, well, if I don't have money to save, why would I have something to invest? I want you to be able to see that it says investments there, because I want you to remember that that's where you're trying to get to. You're trying to get to a point where you are investing. To me, once you get into investing, you have graduated from my podcast. You have graduated. That means you have a total hold and handle on your household budget. That means to me that if you know how to manage household expenses, fixed, variable, saving, having sinking funds, generating income, then you could probably run a business. I fear that a lot of small business owners, they do not manage the business income well because they don't know how to manage a household. Treat your household like it's a business. It is. It's your entity. It's your entity. Treat it as such. If you were a business owner, wouldn't you want to know where all the money is? I would. If I'm the CEO, I need to know where every dollar is going. It shouldn't be any different with your house, okay? It should not be any different with your household. So those are the elements. Your income, expenses, fixed and variable, your debt, sinking funds, and then last but certainly not least, saving and investing. So, of course, you would write these numbers down. Your income minus your expenses, minus your debt payments, minus how much you're funding a sinking fund if you're doing that. It's optional. It's optional. Minus how much you're saving. Minus how much you're saving. Now, don't forget, you should have a starter emergency fund. If you're still working on that, I need you to write that down on your saving category. Starter emergency fund. And I would also encourage you, if you haven't funded that starter emergency fund yet, I would encourage you to temporarily cut expenses. because you're setting an intention and you have a goal. That's what I would recommend. You can choose to listen to me or not, but I would recommend you get that starter emergency fund in place to start the process of slowing down the drama, the surprise, the stress, the adding more to revolving debt. Start working on that, because the emergency is coming. The unexpected expense is coming. It's coming. So be ready. All right. Stay ready, they say, so you ain't got to get ready. It applies when it comes to your money, your household finances as well. So that is my time. I like to keep this at 30 minutes so you can listen while you're either getting ready or on your commute. So thank you so much for joining. If you got anything out of this episode, if you haven't yet, please subscribe and share this with someone. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe there was a nugget in there. The budgeting part, again, you can get that anywhere. The mindset component is what I care the most about, because that's the part that's really going to cause change. It's going to ignite change in you as if you think different. That used to be one of my favorite quotes when I started my healing journey. It's a Steve Jobs quote. Think different. The former CEO of Apple. Think different. That helped me so much. And I had to force myself and set an intention to think different, because the way that I was currently thinking at that time it wasn't working. It wasn't working for me. So it was time to think different. So I want to tell you the same. Think different. Think different about your money, what you can do, and how you can get there. And remember, we talked about setting boundaries. Did you practice saying no? So all of it, I hope, will eventually start to come together for you. But in the meantime, keep doing the amazing job that I know you're doing. I know that it can be frustrating, especially if your budget is upside down. But just think of ways you can, again, cut back those expenses, cut something out. Remember, nothing is permanent. It's not ever permanently cut out unless you want it to be. Or maybe you can bring in more income somehow. Maybe you have a talent that you could be charging for. There's got to be something that you do where you're the most talented person at it when you're sitting in a room. And that could be the thing that you could be charging for. So that's my time. Thank you again for tuning in. Like and subscribe and share, and have a great Monday. And I'll be with you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.